Hey Scorpios, and welcome to your November 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to give you guys hopefully another amazing reading for your month ahead. And happy birthday to everyone who is aging up during this time. The sun is in Scorpio this month, as we all know, and there's a lot of Scorpionic energy coming through. We have Jupiter in our sign, really emphasizing transformation, regeneration, new experiences, new outcomes to old circumstances, and really expansion of psychic ability, expansion of any kind of empathic experience, really strong emphasis on feelings and sentience and sensations. It's a month where you can be very sensational, a month where you can also be like not satiable or really struggle to find your fill of something. This month is kind of a circus, I've got to be honest, as your energy feels like a circus in general, Scorpio, because you've come into some kind of very strong power, I feel, in November, some kind of really strong ability that you've not had in a long time, or more psychic ability. It's like you can really feel people who maybe haven't been around for a while. You're very just psychic right now and very able to sense the energy of others and even people who aren't even in this world, it almost feels like to me. Your experience is very interpersonal, very introspective right now. You might not have that much contact from other people or that much experience on the outside world, but that's not permanent. It's like there's almost like a coming of age that has to happen during this time, as you have to be able to come out of the difficult experiences that you've had in the past that are still kind of ruling you. It feels like a coming of age to me. It feels like there's something unbelievable or something unobtainable or unattainable about what you're going through that other people just can't reach. So for that reason, you're not being very empowered by the universe through other people. It's very personal. It's very within you during this month. It's an amazing time for you though, Scorpio. I feel that you're more powerful than you've been in a long time. I feel that you have more sway, and I feel that you have more almost like concentration of energy than maybe you've ever had in your life. But the thing is it's delicate. There's something fragile about Scorpio power right now, something that has to be experienced in a certain way or put together in a certain way. Otherwise, it's just almost non-existent. November is going to be a period of time, Scorpios, where through having this coming of age experience, where you ultimately show yourself something, where you ultimately transcend a problem that's been there for a long time, through that you flesh out your power and you make your power something less delicate. Now, it can take, and this is up to you, Scorpio, it can take the entirety of Jupiter to reform your power and to make your power less delicate. Or it can happen in November when you have all of this Scorpio activation, because a lot of planets are going to be in Scorpio in November. There's going to be a stellium. Jupiter's there, the Sun's there, the Mercury will be there, Venus will be there. Just lots of energy coming in for you guys. And it's like you can either really implode on yourself, or you can use that introspective, really strong visionary ability that you have to go within and see where the problems are, and really find reality. Reality is going to be very important in November for you, Scorpios, as you cannot continue to be delusional about things, because things get really proven right during this type of energy. It feels like to me that things are proven, and things, whether or not it's good or bad for you, are shown to be the way that they are, which ultimately is a blessing, but not if you're a delusional person. And again, no offense to Scorpios, I'm Scorpio, but it's easy, I think, given what you've gone through, or given the energies that have been prevalent for you, to be nearly delusional or to not see things the way that they are. However, if you can use that strong introspective ability and that strong like eagle eye, like with direct focus, to see the way that things are, November can be extremely empowering, and your power can be fleshed out to be more strengthened and to be more strong during this time. But any kind of reliance on false ideals, on false narratives, on circumstances that can never really exist for you, anything like that sets this month up to be very painful and kind of excruciating, honestly. It'll be a circus, and it'll be excruciating if you can't see things the way that they truly are. So, having said all of that, it does feel like there's almost a door opening or a portal opening into a very new kind of way of relating with others, which feels really positive to me. You have 2 court cards, you have Knight of Swords, you have Page of Cups, and then you also have King of Cups, so 3, I'm sorry. But I feel like the King of Cups has more to do with you than other people. But you are being opened up to more vulnerable people, more people who aren't fake, as through seeing the way that you've been delusional, or through seeing the way that you've not seen things the way that they've been, you suddenly get open to people who are going to be less flighty, or I almost want to say that any kind of reason that Scorpio might be delusional has a lot to do with people that you've been surrounded by, which, I mean, that's just psychology, that's people, that's life, but it feels like you've had a lot of experiences with people who proclaimed to be one thing and then ultimately ended up not being that, aka you've been around people who have been delusional. So it really feels like through owning up to yourself this month, you really come into contact with people who sort of like mean what they say what they mean type of thing, where people are just more, I want to say like less intricate, less complicated. And does that scare you, Scorpio? Does that make you like worried that people aren't going to be complicated, or that you're actually going to be able to figure things out? Because you are kind of like a puzzle solver type of energy. You're like a problem solver, and sometimes you attract complex people, or people with weird little mundane psychoses that can never really be seen, because you're always wanting to like get to the next layer. It feels like people coming into your life, Scorpio, are not that full of layers, and sort of like what you see is what you get, which ultimately is a good thing given what you've been surrounded by, but be careful to not chase that away because you're just used to having very complex people, or used to having very complex experiences. It would be nice in November to have things that are easier, or more simplistic, or more blank, less intricate, less complex is good, because you have a lot on your shoulders this month. You have 3 10 cards, actually, so it's a huge month of culmination, endings, finally letting go of something, finally figuring out what your workflow is, finally getting a really good integration, or I almost want to say like, what's the word, like a really good pipeline of the way that you sort of organize your experience of life. Definitely letting go of old habits, letting go of old needs, letting go of old emotional complexes. Shed the skin here, Scorpio. Do it now instead of throughout like the next year and a half, while you still sort of have Jupiter and Scorpio type of energy. Because even when it goes into Sag, it'll still echo Scorpio a little bit in the beginning. So, and that's the other thing, like right now in November, Jupiter is in Scorpio, but it's not been for very long. It's not quite been there for a month until November 10th. So it's still sort of Jupiter in Libra in a way. Although for me, like there's just like a sudden shift in energy, and I think that for everyone there has been, like I already feel completely different, like right after October 10th, but it's really not going to feel that powerful, I would say, till like the end of November or even through December. So, for that reason, I think that it's okay to see some of these more difficult cards and difficult archetypes in your reading this month, because you're still kind of preparing yourself for Jupiter and Scorpio. Even if you know that it's here, even if you know that there is changes, or there are changes, and there are new things happening, it can be hard to identify. For that reason, I want you guys to go and check out like the description box below. I have a link to an article that I wrote up about Jupiter and Scorpio through the signs, and that's on my Patreon page, and you guys can check that out to get some more information specifically about Jupiter and Scorpio. But yeah, I feel like you can also celebrate a lot this month as well. Again, coming of age, celebrating what you have accomplished. There's a lot to, I feel like, be upset about yourself with, but you're definitely encouraged to find the silver linings this month, as if you don't look for silver linings, or if you don't look for positivities, it might be kind of hard to find. Lots of quick successes potentially relating, especially to your mind. I feel like the fuzziness, the malaise, the lethargic tendencies that you've had can go here, because you're releasing old toxins here for sure, which should be a really nice experience, but I know that at times it can also be a bit difficult as well, but ultimately healing. So healing through the release of toxins is going to be very emphasized. Definitely do what you can to detox. Keep active, like saunas or spas. I always say whenever the sun's in a water sign, it's a really good time to be at the spa, or to be like detoxing your body, because that's usually more supported. Anything like any kind of cleanse or any kind of detox is really good right now. But you can also go too far during Scorpio energy with that, so definitely keep a strong balance. But anyway, I want to go ahead and get into the week to week to see what more specifically is coming forward for you guys. In the first week, you guys have 4 of Wands rooted down by 5 of Wands reversed, so you've got that chronological order. I feel like you guys have had that quite a bit. A lot of 4s and 5s, lots of like Wands chronological order. So whatever you're doing with your passions or what you want to accomplish in the world from an aspirational standpoint is really good. Don't question that. I feel like Scorpio has had a lot of like activation in the sense like, okay, I'm going to do the big thing. I'm going to get the record deal. I'm going to write the book. I'm going to start the amazing like intellectual IP. I'm going to be the CEO of this. I'm going to get my law degree. All of these really big like aspirational things that Scorpio has been setting out to do that sort of feels unlikely or unrealistic is actually very easy when Jupiter comes into your sign. In fact, it's actually harder to not accomplish and to not achieve when Jupiter is here than it is to do really well or to have a lot of luck. So you have to remember that, and you can't self-sabotage yourself during this time. And I feel like that's a lot of what some of these really hard experiences have been trying to teach Scorpio is like, you know, I always talk about 2014, 15, and throughout the end of like 2016, being such a defining period of time for Scorpio, where Saturn was going through your sign, where you had like Mars going retrograde through your sign as well at the same time that Saturn was like moving into Sagittarius. Very, very defining for Scorpio. Lots of very difficult experiences, very close traumas, lots of unexpected, unpredictable circumstances that just came about. All of those things tied a lot into Scorpio's self-sabotage and into delusional thinking from Scorpio as well. And it's ultimately been a blessing for this sign to really see these tendencies. That way control can come. That way you can moderate them. That way you can heal them, or you can transcend past them and use the energy itself to actually do these really big things that you want to do with your life, versus being trapped by old patterns of self-sabotage and ultimately, preventing yourself and blocking yourself from achieving things so that you can deal with that. Because there's also sort of a healing process cycle that Scorpio's caught into, like always needing to sort of self-inflict a wound to go into the healing process to then transform from it and to go through that process in order so that they don't have to face the other parts of their life. That's going to be something that has to go this November, Scorpio. No more causing yourself problems to distract you from what you actually want to accomplish, to distract you from, to basically fill your time with processes that you can say that would you not go through these processes of healing yourself, then you would not be able to do what you want to do in the first place, and you end up just not doing what you want to do in the first place. It's that self-sabotage cycle, and you sort of blind yourself by doing these things which seem productive and which seem like are good for you, but prevent you from actually accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So definitely work with that this month. That probably sounded quite complicated, but it is complex in that sense, and good to be simple. If you can find simple reasons about why you're this way or why you need to self-sabotage, maybe not getting the attention from this or that person in your life made you kind of try to lash out or try to find it in that way. It's a really good month to be simple about those types of things. But to not go off on a tangent and to keep talking about the first week here with 4 of Wands and 5 of Wands, important to claim small victories. Important to understand that you have won in some way, or that you have come and gone. That, like, where have you been and what sort of battle scars do you have, or in what way can you celebrate where you've been and where you've come from? Because any kind of, I feel, negative self-dialogue or negative experience with yourself during this week or during this month really pushes you down a notch, because Scorpio's like realistic, right? If you're not delusional, then you're too realistic. So you can get caught up in really finding every flaw and maximizing them and attempting to change them. Definitely a good week to not think so much about the flaws and to think more about the victories, to think more about the spiritual antithesis of what your flaws are here. Really good for that. Also good to know who your friends are here and to know who can help you through this time, who can celebrate with you. Not good to be surrounded by critics, not good to be surrounded by people who are going to pull you down. You don't need anchors this month. You don't need, because you've got to be your own anchor in November. And I feel like that's a lot of it, because anchors are sort of a Scorpio ideal, things that hold you down, things that keep you secure, that sort of go underwater into the psyche. Be your own anchor in November. Don't seek that in other people. Otherwise, you'll find yourselves in a weird cycle. Having that rooted down by Five of Wands reversed, there's a lot of aggression within you. There's a lot of aggression that hasn't quite met the light, and a lot of almost desire to fight, or desire to get closure, desire to obtain closure through some kind of confrontation, confronting people, confronting your past. Feels really prevalent this month. And because I think you've been wanting to do it for a long time, you've been sort of caught up for like a little bit more than a year, a lot of you, in wanting to confront something, wanting to come out with something, wanting to call a spade type of energy and let everyone know how things are. That's in reverse, so be careful with that. It's better, again, to not maximize flaws or to not maximize where things went wrong, and to more play up the good during this time. But there's a sort of delicate balance there, because if you're just playing up the good, that can become delusional as well. So finding that balance, and not caring about like these people who have treated you really bad. It's one thing to confront people who have been bad to you and tell them how things are, or confront that if they're still sort of trying to attack you. It's another thing to confront people who you really care about, who have done small things which aren't really that important, and maximize them into these big, like, existential crises in your life. It's okay to confront true antagonists in your life, but it's not good to antagonize people who are good to you because you basically have nothing better to do, or because you're putting so much emphasis on these small things that they're distracting you from what your purpose actually is. So watch out for that. Definitely exercise. Definitely be out and about. Do things which sort of channel some of this energy, because it's like you're over-energized and you could lash out in certain ways. In the second week, you guys have Knight of Swords reversed, rooted down by Ten of Cups reversed. Quick action relating familial ideals. A lot of you might have like moved in with family, or have been seeing family a lot more one way or another, and that might be draining you. You could be not too sure about where you're residing. I feel like Scorpio is struggling to find that anchor, because the Ten of Cups is another kind of anchor card to me. It's like security through having a nice family home environment that you always have to come back to it in a way that kind of like anchors you, right? But you're feeling like something about that is taking away your independence, or taking away your motivation with life, or is making you slower. That definitely a key word in the second week is slowness. How quickly do you feel like you're accomplishing your goals? How long does it take you to get your work done? It's a great month to start working from home, a great month to make your home environment more solid, more steady, more luxurious, more nice. It's a good time for renovations. It's a good time to focus your energy into something that's destructive in a positive way. Because really what it comes down to in November that I see, because the week to week isn't really coming to me that much, Scorpio. It's like there are just specific messages that have to come out during November, in the sense that you're destructive this month, honestly. Your energy is quite destructive, and you have to use that in a responsible way. You know, like destroy your countertops and replace them or something. Renovate, you know. Destroy, I don't know, like speed up your computers. Like if your computers are slow, like delete a bunch of files and like do like disk cleanup or whatever. Because it feels like you need a proverbial disk cleanup of your energy, you know. Lots of things need to be shed. Lots of things need to be purged, okay? And congratulations. I mean, purging is a Scorpio ideal, and it makes sense with Jupiter being in your sign and it being Scorpio time that you would let go of something, or that you would destroy something, or that you would purge something. And I think Scorpio tries to do this a lot, and a lot of the time it's not the right time, or a lot of the time it's not reciprocated in a positive way, but it can be good here. So think about what needs to go, and think about how that can be like a nice experience, and try your best not to lash out and destroy things like without a lot of thought. Think about what you're letting go of. Because sometimes, even like with renovation or things that aren't so like important in your life, that are just sort of spiritual sideline type of things, you can do too much, and you can make environments feel barren, and you can completely like disenergize an environment. Like Scorpio's kind of tornadic, like tornadoes will suck the air out of the houses and out of the wherever they're sort of going through, and in one sense, like tornadoes like cleanse the earth and obviously destroys a lot of houses or structures, but it also can completely make barren the land. So I feel like your energy is like tornadic this month, and you have to know what you're choosing to destroy, because you can destroy important relationships. You can destroy your connection with yourself, it feels like, through some kind of like substance problem. Do be careful with these types of things. Third week, you guys have 10 of Swords reversed. You're down by 8 of Cups reversed. And that's sort of where I'm getting this quintessential idea of purge for you in November, because you are at the wit's end of something. You are sort of like at the end of the chapter. And this is good for Scorpio, because Scorpio rules endings. Scorpio rules death. It rules the ultimate endings of life. So you're honestly in your element with this type of thing. So it can be like really enjoyable and really, I want to say like potent energetically, like spiritually potent experiences where you sort of have just like that like moment that is like in the movies where people are like driving away from this really difficult experience or have like survived some kind of extreme experience, and it's like the movie has kind of gotten softer, and they're like going away from it. They're like looking behind them and like, wow, that was like my life defining experience, but they're leaving it, and it's just like that really intense moment that I feel is in like a lot of movies and in a lot of media. That can be what November is for you. You're sort of leaving the tragedies, leaving the overwhelming difficult experiences, and it's like you're done, and there's like that breath, but you still sort of have like a recovery period that follows that, especially if you destroy the wrong things this month. Like, you can need a very long time to recover. You just have to really think about the way things actually are, Scorpio. Like, be in tune with reality. No delusional Scorpio. No crazy Scorpio where you're like, where you know how things are, but to like prove a point, you make it very convincing from a whole nother side of things, where it's not even right. You know what you do, Scorpio. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to articulate. And I feel like it's not that this isn't a good reading. I feel like this is a wonderful reading, but it's really hard to articulate. Like, your energy, just when I try to jump into it, is like giving me hot flashes. Like, I feel like it's hard to articulate. It's hard to not stutter. It's hard to it's hard. So, and these cards are harsh as well, although I usually do good with none of these cards are like the cards that are hard for me to talk about, as I feel like every tarot reader has a few cards that they just can't quite wrap their heads around all the time. All of these cards I do well with, but your energy, Scorpio, is really hard to breach. It's not very flexible. It's really set in a certain way in needing a certain thing. So November's a beautiful month to destroy that, to be flexible, to allow different outcomes, to not get so set on needing one specific outcome or needing one specific person, needing one specific thing in your life. Because what happens is usually you get it during Jupiter and Scorpio, and if you've needed it in a certain way, it won't give you what you wanted it to. And that's the most important thing to take away from this reading, Scorpio. That is, hands down, ignore the rest of it if you want. You get what you want with Jupiter and Scorpio, so you have to have a specific kind of relationship with that. Otherwise, it becomes about you, and it becomes not even about what you want. Because it sort of becomes a month where it's like careful what you wish for, because you might get it. So if you've been wanting to be with that person who broke up with you for a long time, and you know that you never really liked them that much in the first place, but you want it because it's like you didn't have control over it, then you'll probably get that, and you'll just have to use that Jupiter and Scorpio energy to realize this is never what I wanted in the first place. When in reality, it's like you could get the record deal, you could be the CEO, you could be the top seller of your company, you could start your own business. Do you want your energy to be used relating to something that's just a battle with yourself, or do you want to actually do something important with yourself? So this is the month where you decide that, and that's why this month has so many heavy cards. 10 of Swords deals with betrayal, the need to let go, because let's talk about betrayal, okay? So betrayal comes because we've been unable to let go of something. When we get stabbed in the back, when someone throws us under the bus, it's because our psyche was hooked onto them or hooked onto an experience with them in a way that we had to be energetically sort of run over by the bus to understand what the purpose of that was. Because betrayal doesn't just happen. Like there is no such thing as coincidence in life, I don't feel. Although there is, but it's not really the way that people view coincidence. That's a whole nother video. But things like that, like betrayal, are not coincidental. Like you find yourself when you're betrayed, doing kind of mental and energetic gymnastics with your purpose and wants from other people. And the universe just has to like end it. It says, nope, done. That can't go on. So that's what Ten of Swords energy is all about, as well as Eight of Cups as well, which roots that down, has to do with, what happens before you get to Ten of Swords. You have the option to walk away. You have the option to leave it behind before the universal intervention happens and you get stabbed in the back, or you get betrayed. Good times for those of you who are in like codependent relationships right now, as I feel like a lot of Scorpios are kind of single, or just sort of relationships aren't emphasized. Maybe you're married and you're like, okay, my relationship isn't really where I'm thinking right now. It's either that or you're kind of needing to end something during this time, like before it ends you type of energy. There might be a small minority of Scorpios who are like happy in a relationship, and it's not many of you, though. In fact, I feel like if you're doing good in a relationship, it's coming from a different part of your chart, just because Scorpio has a lot to learn alone right now, and a lot of relationships have sort of been burned out because it's like a distraction for Scorpio. Scorpio is very like a one-track mind sometimes, and if they're happy in a relationship, then they tend to not be very like self-aware sometimes. They become like self-aware in the sense that they know the other person because you've become like one and all of that. So you can't really have a lot of that right now. You have to be able to be with yourself. If you are in a relationship, make sure you make time for solitude away from other people, because you have to be able to see the way that you're operating. Because if you can't, like, Scorpio is a control sign. Always remember that Scorpio is a control sign. If you can't control yourself, though, because Scorpio is a self sign as well, control yourself before you can control anything else in your life. Otherwise, you have the sort of like Tower experience. And there are no major arcana cards in your reading this month, Scorpio. So I feel like it might feel a little bit like purgatory. It might feel a little bit blank, a little bit gray zone. You guys have had the Tower a lot over the last year. And maybe you've picked up the pieces. Maybe you've established yourself in a way that the Tower can't happen now. Maybe you've withdrawn so much from life that you can predict everything. But something's unpredictable about November as well, but it's just not as big and universal as it's been in the past. So I'm like having like hot flashes to this reading. I'm feeling like so like Marsy. Like I just feel like upset and even a little bit angry. I feel that there's like a anger that has gone unvoiced, unconfronted by you, Scorpio. And I do feel like that needs to be opened up about. It's a good month to be open, as long as you don't rely on lies, okay? The only time that people aren't open about things is because they feel that their lies can't hold up. So it's a good month to not need to lie. It's a good month to open up. It's a good month to understand why you ever did lie in the first place, because it feels like you don't know. So understand that. Fourth week, Page of Cups, rooted down by Ten of Wands, reversed. The door opens to new vulnerable people, Scorpio. New rebirth of yourself, yes, through ultimately taking some things off of your plate, understanding what you can own up to, understanding maybe if you've been like a hopeless romantic that, no, I couldn't be in a relationship right now. I'm way too busy with my job. I'm way too busy with my family. I'm way too busy with all this, and I understand that the universe had a reason when I was single, because I couldn't take it. So you can ultimately here you can take things off your plate. You can uncommit yourself in a way that is good. Again, think of what you can let go of. All these 10 cards, let go of something. Let a chapter end on something. It feels like something's being stretched out way too long. Something is being overly maintained. So think about that in November, because King of Cups as your central theme in the reverse, something's not intuitive. Something is being, I feel like it makes me think of like too much makeup or something. Like if you have like problematic skin or something and you're like, okay, let me cover it all up with a bunch of makeup and make my skin look perfect and all this kind of stuff. Or let me like go and spend a lot of money on like some really good skincare that just causes your skin to not react in a good way. Think about how you put things together. in a way that doesn't work. Because, maybe a better train of thought would be like, okay, what am I eating? What's wrong with my diet? What am I not, letting out? What am I not voicing? What am I not letting go of that is causing my skin to try so hard to detox, because my mind and my energy can't do it. Rather than, oh, let's put on a lot of makeup, or, oh, let's go buy a bunch of skincare. And that's just a random example, but I feel like that has to do with a lot of what you're going through, Scorpio, is like trying to find fixes for things that conceal versus actually fixing the problem itself. A lot of you have already caught on to it. For those of you who have, go ham on the makeup and skincare, if you've already kind of come full circle with it, but it's a great month to do that if you haven't yet. And this was a hard reading for me, you guys. I feel like I've been making noises, and there's probably all kinds of microphone feedback and stuff because the energy just feels insane. And I'm going to get off of here and lie down or something, because it's not the easiest time for you, but power. So much power, so much energy to work with, and so many new endeavors, so many new opportunities to potentially come to the light. New relationships after November that can kind of start in November but really pick up after November are possible, but you have to confront something within yourself first. You have to be able to. I have so enjoyed giving this reading to you guys. Saturn will be moving out of Sagittarius in December, so we'll have a whole new spectrum of energies to be working with Jupiter in Scorpio, Saturn in Capricorn. But this is, again, coming of age month for you guys. You will be tested probably in specific ways, and it's really personally your own to decide how you go about the test. And it feels like there's kind of no wrong answer, but at the same time, certain answers can get you further places. So really think about what works best for you. I've so enjoyed giving this reading to you guys. If you would like to check out the Humanity in Fall video that I did, which is on the left of your screen right now, you can get some more insight about what all of humanity is going through right now energetically. Also, you guys can book a private reading with me in the center of your screen. And check out the playlist for other readings. Check out your Sun, Moon, Rising sign. Your likes, subscribes, and comments make my day, and I will be talking to you guys in December. Bye.